Hi, I'm Mo Wild, and I want to talk to you about the Wildbiome Project too. So in 2023, we did the Wildbiome Project 1, and that was a study funded entirely by fundraising and donations that looked into how the wild food diet affected people's gut microbes and their nutrition status. And what we found was that it really reduced weight, high cholesterol in many cases, high blood sugar, and improved the gut microbiome, some 13 points against the control group of just 1 point in terms of movement. So we're doing it again because that was a study of 24 people, of which 12 did 1 month and 12 did 3 months. And with science, numbers count because there's always some exceptions to the rule. And we found that in Wildbiome 1. There were lots of questions that we still needed answers to and lots of things we still wanted to find out. So this time, the project will start on the 1st of April in 2025. So that's in the spring. And we've had about 120 applicants. Now, not all will go on to sign up completely. We've been going through the pros and cons and how we're going to provide support, but we're expecting about 100 people to do it. 1/3 of them for 3 months and 2/3 for 1 month. That takes this to a much different scale to Wildbiome 1. Basically, to cover the tests, which are about £680 per person, because we're testing both at the beginning and end of the project, we need to raise about £68,000 if we're going to include 100 participants. We've applied for funding and we're working with one of the universities to do so. But in order to make sure it goes ahead, we're asking our participants to try to help fundraise themselves, and we're doing yet another fundraiser. I know you may well have contributed to the first one and also to the making of the documentary, Our Wildbiome, but I'm asking you again if you wouldn't mind sponsoring us for this third time. Really just a small amount, the price of a pint of beer, or if you're going to be elaborate, a fancy cocktail at a pub for a night out, would really help us to achieve these sort of numbers. Some people have asked me why I think this is important, why I've devoted so much of my time to it, and unpaid time at that. And I think wild food is really important. You know, in the UK, we tend to think of this as a bit of a yuppie thing or fad thing. People will tell me that, you know, the countryside couldn't take a lot more of us foraging, although I've never noticed a shortage of dandelions and nettles. But you know, 50% of the world's population do depend on wild food in one form or another for their diet. And that goes up to 70% in areas where there's famine. In fact, in Syria, after that earthquake, when so much infrastructure was wiped out, it increased to about 84% of people were foraging for wild foods. So we know a lot about the gut microbiome of the Hadza and other tribes in the equatorial and southern hemisphere regions, but we don't know very much about what would happen to us if we had to go back to eating a wild food diet. And we're also fascinated this time because we've teamed up with the University of Bradford, their School of Archaeological and Forensic Science, and they're going to be doing hair analysis to see what our diet says about carbon isotoping. Because a lot of old skeletons from, you know, the Stone Age, from the Middle Ages, they try to identify what people were eating through their carbon isotopes. But of course, people in those days didn't keep a food diary. So this should give some insight into what our ancestors ate as well. So I think it's a really important study. It's something I've given a huge amount of time to. All the results are going to be open source. After, you know, they're anonymized, of course, so we're not identifying individuals or sharing confidential data, but all the results when they come through together are being published in open source journals and made available for the public as well. So I really would appreciate you digging deep and helping to support us once again for this very worthwhile project. Thank you all so much.